Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lisa and today we're going to bust a scrap. And super simple. These are a few of my masterboards that I've made. I'm not going to make a masterboard today. We've all seen it. If you haven't seen one, you can for sure do search on masterboard. I've got quite a few on my channel. So does every other person who does these have masterboards. They're fun to do. I love making them, especially when I have nothing else it planned in my mind. I'm kind of stuck. I love making masterboards. So most of these are, well, actually that's a postcard. How cute is that? I like that one. Most of them are blank on the back, and when I make the masterboard, I usually make them 12 by 12, and then I cut them down to sheets. And this is like a perfect size for me to do, which is 4 by 6, because 12 by 12, you divide it in half, 6, and then 4 by 4, you get 6 sheets, and they're a great size to make journal cards. So with that said, the next step would be to cut it in half. So I've already done that. I've got a prototype here up in a second. I'm going to show you. But what I would do is take this and figure out, this is 6 or a little shorter, not 6. So I would cut it at 3. And I would have 2 pieces to make my project. All right, so this is what I ended up making. Cute, right? Little strips. My thought on this is to put it onto a page to make it a uptuck, kind of like a hidden uptuck. So I'm going to get that glued down. I have just a digital, that one of the ones I use to dye, but I would put it on the top and glue it down. Now I'm thinking you could just do it on the top, but you could also probably do like a reverse pocket on this. So I think I'm going to reverse pocket it. So you could stick a tag inside of it. And then it would be a little more hidden, secret. Oh, and I forgot to decorate it. But that's okay. I can throw the piece that I wanted to decorate on there. So that's going to hide there. And I have one of my tickets from my last video that I made from the tie-dye paper. And it's one of the green ones. And we're just going to add that right there, because the green is fun. Now I picked colors. These are, I would call them like sari fabrics. They were from one of those chindi rugs that you've probably seen. And I do have a video of me taking that apart. And I've got a huge bag full of these fabrics laying around. They are silky sari weight fabric. So they are rippable, which you can see they're very frayed and ripping a piece off. You could also do the same project using, let's say you got cotton fabrics. And I tried to rip them about 1 inch, a little maybe more than 1 inch wide. So like this piece could probably just be ripped in half. And most fabrics have a grain, and you can snip them and rip them. And now you've got a piece to do. For this project, I used pieces that were about 12 inches long, and that's 12 inches. Perfect. I'm not going to use it on the piece that I'm going to make, though, because it doesn't match. But you could see how it could be put on there if you just have some cotton fabrics laying around. You don't need much. Okay, so we're going to do this one. And after, I think I can put the glue away because I don't need that. After I cut it in half, I did round the top with my big rounder. And I think I'm going to round it a little smaller this time. Oops. There we go. And I'll put a little ink on there. Oh, I don't need to ink the back. No one's going to see it. All right. So simple. Masterboard, cut into a piece. So this, like I said, was about 4 inches wide. So now it is about 4 by 3, give or take a little bit off of that. I think this board I had it cut down a little bit. So it's a little shorter than 6 inches. Okay, so now for the whole part. Now what I did was I went through and I marked the back for this. Now for a 4-inch one, I did mark in the center. I just have this little stylus thing to put like a little hole. And I'm just going to put a little line there because you're not going to see it from the front. So I put my hole punch. I am going to use Crocodile, and I'm using the biggest hole on that. If you have a regular hole punch, that will work too. All right, so after I did that, I did it at 1/2 inch from the outside. and 1/2 inch from the outside. And then I did it at 1 1/4 inch. 1 1/4 inch. 1 1/4. So I've got the 5 holes. Now I like 5 because it's a odd number. I think it looks good. If you only wanted to put like 3, you could just do 3 and maybe shift them in a little bit, put them somewhere probably around 1 inch, and in the center 2 inch, and have just 3. I don't think I would go to any more because, as you can see, the part of the fabric kind of fluffs out a little bit. So I think 5 for 4 inch is probably the most. Okay, so for my crocodile, I pushed it back in 1 inch deep because I wanted it deep enough so that when we tie it off, we don't accidentally pull it and pull the fabric through. Now, these cards that I used for the masterboard were a thicker, harder one. I would probably stay, that one's pretty thick. I would probably stay away from one that's a little bit more copier paper weight if you do a masterboard on that, because I would be afraid that this would pull off. I want a little bit of strength behind it. All right, so we're just going to follow those little lines, and we're going to push it all the way up to 1 inch, and we're just going to put our little holes in there. And if they're not exactly on that line, it's close enough. The fabric will forgive you, as they say. It's forgiving. All right, so the holes are done. All right, so I have some fabrics now. They are the other half, mostly of these. I cut longer pieces and then cut them down. So these are, like I said, these are about, 10 inches. Well, that one's too short. Lots of strings. This one's a little bit longer. Oh, yeah, that's like 15. This one, that's much longer. But I'd rather have longer and then cut it down. I would not go any shorter than about 10 on that. And that's it. All right, so let's figure out the order we want to put these in. All right, we have 2 oranges. So I'm thinking we'll put the oranges on those 2. And then the green and blue on the outside and the yellow in the center. Okay, let's do that. All right, so all I did was I took the fabric and folded it in half, and I have my little same stylus. Now, you don't have a stylus if you got a ballpoint pen that has, that you can click down and not have the point on it. You have a pokey stick or something, anything will work. But it's easier because this fabric is pretty wide to be able to push it through. I like to push it through the front and the back. So since it's folded in half, you now have a loop where you take the 2 tails and pull it through. So now you got both tails in there. I'm going to try to pull them equal, even though I probably will cut them down later. And this is what I was saying about how you want to make sure that you don't have a weak piece of paper, because I want to snug it down pretty good so that the knot is good. I believe they call it a lark's head knot. I think there's another name for it. But I like those knots for these, and they hang great going below. All right, so let's just finish putting these in. We're going to fold this in half, and we're going to squish it in. This one's definitely short. Now, this length is totally arbitrary. If you just want to put a little puff on it, just a little tail, by all means do that. But you got to have enough so that you can wrap around the card and be able to pull it. So that's why the 10 inches was pretty good to start. All right, just fold it in and shove it in. So not only is this a scrap buster for paper, it's kind of also a scrap buster for those pieces of fabric that you have laying around that you really can't do anything with because it's kind of tiny. You might have these laying around that you made dangles for the spine of your journal, or bookmark tops, ribbon toppers, same kind of thing, just in reverse, hanging down. All right, this one, and I'm not sure, I showed you that I ripped the cotton one. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I did rip these. It's very hard to cut silk straight. It's slippery. It has a mind of its own. Some of them aren't ripped completely straight because the grain went off. Might be able to tell on this one. Yeah, see how it kind of goes out and on? But by the time you hang it down, you can't really tell. I can't tell. So unless you totally seek perfection, you won't be able to tell. All right, so like this one starts really thin, it gets a little thicker, but I like the blue because this one had blue on it. This one I just do the greens and oranges and yellows because that's what it had on there. This one I want to add a little blue. So if you've got some fabric in mind, like say you had this fabric and coordinating ones, that you might want to make a master board that has got those colors, so you know you can tie it together instead of using pre-made cards you have already. That would be an idea to match things. If you got fabric for a journal that you made, and I've seen those fabric flips where they cut the big squares. If you got that kind of fabric laying around and you know it's all coordinated, then find some papers you have and make, you don't even have to make a whole master board. If you wanted to just use a, say, some packaging, some thicker, heavier packaging, or if you wanted to use the index cards, they're a little smaller. You start with something smaller, that would work too. But we're using paper scraps, collaged, and we're using scraps of fabric. Okay, so it goes in a long length. So I'm going to figure out which is the shortest, and I'm going to cut them down to kind of be equal with that. Now, it's very hard to cut it exactly that length, but we're going to do our best to just give it a little snip and a haircut. Now, be careful giving it a haircut, because once it's gone, it's gone. But you can always go back and cut a little bit more. It would be nice if I had sharper scissors. I'm going to have to get these scissors sharpened. It's kind of like, you ever cut bangs where you cut a little and then you cut a little more and cut a little, all of a sudden you've got, you know, bangs that are half your forehead? Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. And last one. There we go. And there we have it. Now this one is shorter than this one, only because I started with the little fabric shorter, but not much shorter. So this would be, you can hang it on, glue it on there and have it hang down. I wouldn't do two of them in the same one, but all set. And then add a little bit of fun decoration to it. The same paper almost, but it's not. You could also put a hole in the top and put a ribbon going through the top. You could paper clip it onto a piece of paper if you wanted to, or like I did, glue it, but flexible. So fabric scraps and paper scraps. So definitely busting a scrap. All right, let's check out this side. This is probably pretty well dry. And we're gonna pretend that that's a journal card, and we just go like that and put it in there, and I like it. Let's see if I get one a little bit bigger. Will this postcard fit in there? Probably not. I think it's a little too big. Yeah, it's a little too big. That might fit. Barely even know something's underneath there until you go like that and you find it. Nice hidden journal spot. Now it looks like the ends of these, let me get my card out of here, might have been because of the fabric and I didn't hold it down, kind of lifted it up into the air. So if you want the ends to go down for sure, you're going to want to go ahead and make sure you get an extra second to push it down so you have enough room. That's not a problem if you decide you just want to do the top. You could do just one piece and have it be like more of a tuck. But putting it around the whole thing seems to make it a lot more secure when you want to stick something up into there. Beautiful. I love it. And fun to play with. I really do. I like it a lot. Okay. Well, that is another successful, I think, buster scrap. Not only are we busting scraps of fabric, or busting scraps of paper, we're busting scraps of fabric. Now, of course, I'm going to have to vacuum because I got all these little pieces of thread laying around, but that's okay. Yeah, so coordinate your journal. Get some fabric that you like and find some paper that you like. Make a little topper, punch a couple holes, and there you go. Use cotton or Sari Silks. Either one. This would be a fun one to make. Have to find some fun papers to make it. Okay, well that is going to be it for today's Bust a Scrap video. So far you guys have really been liking the series and I appreciate it. So if you give it a thumbs up and make a comment on the video, that helps the algorithm boost it so other people see it and get a chance to find some fun projects to do. I would appreciate it, truly. And that is going to be it for today's video. So thanks so much for stopping by, and as usual, I hope you all have a wonderful and creative day. Bye for now.